I want to welcome you all to this dedication, and we would like to start with a presentation by the Barnstable Police Department, the Honor Guard, Officer Reed Hall.
Attention. Raise toast.
You know, cemeteries provide us with a link to the past. They're solemn sanctuaries which we treat with great respect. Our accomplishments, our growth as a community and nation are built on the lives of those who have come before us. Cemeteries are a deeply personal part of our past. Each year before Memorial Day, I traveled to the Highland Cemetery in Norwood to decorate the graves of my parents and my namesake, Thomas Joseph Lynch. I did this with my parents each year, and with my mother, and now it's my responsibility. And these visits to the resting place of loved ones remind me of happier times, and I always leave with a warm feeling of a connection to the past. And I know I'm not alone in that task. There are many of us who assume that responsibility and relate greatly to the final resting place of their loved ones. I had an unsolicited call from a resident regarding the respect that our staff, and you see them here today, show to maintaining our ceremonies. And he left a phone message for me. Then we chit-chatted for a while. He wanted to follow that up, and he just said, I want to follow up my phone call to you this morning with this email to single out and congratulate the manager and his staff of Mosswood Cemetery in keeping the Mosswood Cemetery in excellent condition. My wife passed away 2 years ago this date, and that was on April 12th of this year. So you have lots of folks who appreciate what you do and know that for those of us who do that, your work is greatly appreciated. Because my father-in-law is interned in a churchyard columbarium in Nantucket, I've experienced the same sense of reflection and peace that his burial option offers our families. They're peaceful and respectful final resting places. Later in the ceremony, I'll read the dedication that was prepared by the committee, but let me quote from that dedication now. This will be a place where families can come to remember, honor, and celebrate the lives of loved ones who have gone before. I will not be the only one today, I'm sure, to congratulate the Kirkman Fund for their generosity, the Kirkman family that made this all possible many years ago, the Trust Fund Advisory Committee for making this funding a priority, and the cemetery staff for all you do to make this a reality. You impact the lives of the living each day through your caring attention to the grounds and needs of the ceremonies, of the cemeteries. If I may, I'd like to introduce Bo Murdoch for a few words, Chair of the Trust Fund Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Tom. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the Trust Fund Advisory Committee, all of you joining us here today. This project got off the ground back in 2011 when I received a phone call from Dan St. Pierre throwing out what I would call a trial balloon with the idea of having a columbarium. I took the idea back to our committee, and over time we were able to raise the funds from the Kirkman Trust to be able to make this happen. It was a great effort put together by everyone, including Dan, his team, Trust Fund Advisory, Manager Tom, and I'm thrilled to be here today. I will say, however, that Dan called me the other day. He said, how are we going to fill this thing? So I went to one of the committee members that happens to be here today, and he happens to be in real estate. And I said, can you give me a couple ideas that we might pass on to Dan? And he had a couple. And one of them was, we have a small 2-bedroom immediate occupancy in the heart of Cotuit. Another one was, imagine owning a penthouse in the middle of Barnstable. Another one was, you'll never have neighbors that make a lot of noise. But this, to me, is a wonderful opportunity. I'm thrilled to see that it's come to fruition. For us, it's the biggest accomplishment I think that we have done as Trust Fund Advisory Committee and as the town. Thank you very much.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Tom.
Dan knows I live next to a cemetery, so I've heard those comments before, as I'm sure you may have heard some of them.
Yes, I have. In fact, to tack onto what Bo was saying, I did sell a niche the other day, and they told me this was the only way they could afford a high-rise. But all kidding aside, I would like to thank Tom Lynch, the town manager, Bo, and the Kirkman Trust Advisory Committee for all of their help. Steve Sunderland been pushing with me on this, and Dan Santos been great support for us. If more than just a place for the safekeeping of people's loved ones, their ashes here in this columbarium, the ecological impact of this cremation garden is amazing. We are standing on the footprint of about 30 graves, ground burial graves. We can put 192 inurnments in here. We're saving so much open space by doing something like this. It's fantastic. And I would never get this done if it wasn't for my team, my crew, the guys who work for the town of Mosswood Cemetery. Township is very lucky to have them. Thank you very much.
Well, I think the grounds, the way you keep up the grounds anyway, it is important when someone visits. They can sit and they can reflect and they can, mourn or laugh about things that have happened before. So it's really terrific. It's now my great pleasure to be able to read the dedication that you have in your brochures. And this will be for the Kirkman Gardens, the Kirkman Columbarium and Gardens. Dedication. This columbarium will serve as a final place of rest for those dearly departed. It will also be marked as a place where families of those interned here can come to remember, honor, and celebrate the lives of those loved ones who have gone on before. It will also allow those who have been interned to be placed alongside generations of their families. We dedicate this columbarium in joyful celebration of their lives, of the people who, at the end of the service in this earthly life, find their rest.